Palestinian officials say the blast was caused by an Israeli airstrike, while the Israeli military say it was the result of a failed rocket launch by Palestinian Islamic Jihad, an accusation the militant group rejected. In a news conference earlier today, the Israeli Defense Force denied their involvement in the hospital explosion. Take a look.
I can confirm that an analysis of the IDF operational systems indicates that a barrage of rockets was fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the Ahli Arab Hospital in Gaza at the time it was hit. Intelligence from few sources that we have in our hands indicates that the Islamic Jihad is responsible for the failed rocket launch which hit the hospital in Gaza. I repeat, this is the responsibility of Islamic Jihad that killed innocents in the hospital in Gaza.
So the Daily Mail sums up the story as we have it today. Hospital horror, who's to blame? At first it was Israel who was accused, but we're really not sure now, Anne, are we?
No, and we cannot say who's to blame. We don't know. And I think it was predictable that both sides have chosen to blame each other given the sheer horror of the situation. Now, I mean, you have war. Civilian death is a collateral of war, but this is on a massive scale, and I think we're going to have to wait until we know for sure exactly how it happened, and I don't think we can pass judgment at this stage.
They're calling, obviously, the Israelis are now using the phrase Islamic Jihad instead of Hamas. Are they two separate groups?
Well, they are. They in the Gaza Strip, the main group is Hamas. Their rivals are Palestinian Islamic Jihad. Nobody's mentioned them until now. Islamic Jihad proper is in Lebanon, and they're sponsored by Iran. And they are also, or used to be, rivals of Hamas. It's very interesting that Israel is saying this because overnight, when the pictures came in and the true horror became known and the scale of the devastation, you could see that there was some panic with the Israeli Defense Forces because it was an initial tweet, an initial analysis and claim, and it was taken down. And in fact, even the Israeli ambassador to Washington put out a tweet claiming that this was done by, I think, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, then took it down. So there's an awful lot of misinformation and disinformation going on. And let's wait for the military experts. There may have to be an independent investigation, but let's be very, very careful.
So what's the point of them taking it down? That they didn't want to identify a second group in Gaza?
No, it wasn't that. I think it was to do with the time stamp on the video, because they made a claim about the missile barrage and said, we can date it and time it and source it to this. Yeah. But actually, the timestamp did not match the actual incident itself. I see. And so people said, this is disinformation. And remember, a lot of people on social media were pointing to the murder, some say, of a woman called Shireen Abu Akleh. As a journalist, you will know who she is. Worked for Al Jazeera for 25 years, was shot dead by an IDF soldier in Jenin, the refugee camp on the West Bank, in, I think it was May 2022. And the IDF said it was Palestinians who did it. But then an independent investigation, I think UN-sponsored, found out it was the Israeli Defense Forces.
I think we can see pictures of Joe Biden. I don't know where, is he arrived yet? Let's see. He's in Tel Aviv here in Israel. So the president is arriving normally, and he wouldn't want to go into a situation where there's absolutely no clear outcome or as fast moving as this.
But I think it's essential that the United States does support Israel. Our own Prime Minister will go, heads of state will go who are supporting Israel. I think it's an important proclamation to the world. I have to say, one of my biggest fears, I've got to be blunt about this, is that he'll make a gaffe, because he's not 100% reliable, and this is too tense a situation for anything like that to happen.
Yeah, well, in some ways, this trip, Jeremy, is hampered or hamstrung before it even properly starts, because as a result of the shock and the massive loss of life and the attribution to Israel, Mahmoud Abbas, the president of the Palestinian Authority, and King Abdullah of Jordan, who was with Rishi Sunak here just a few days ago, they both cancelled their meetings with Biden. They won't have done that lightly, because if they did meet him in these circumstances, then the people in their own streets, in their own country, will say, you're not supporting the Palestinians, and their own positions will become insecure.
I'm trying to work out, even if you're Islamic Jihad, if you're Hamas, what you could possibly gain from firing a missile at a hospital. Now, you could say, well, they're just crazy.
What could you possibly gain from the initial strike when they were killing babies and killing old folk? You know, what could you possibly gain?
Well, they might have had some crazy
I doubt
strategic
very much
reason.
if anybody just quite deliberately targeted a hospital. Something's gone wrong. On one side or the other, something has gone wrong. And as I said right at the start, I don't think we sitting here can make judgments on that. We've got to wait. And I think Henry's right. There will be a proper military analysis.
Yeah, we don't know. Now, what some people are saying, I mean, I'm no ballistics or military expert, they're saying that the size of the bomb or the missile that caused the complete flattening of a hospital is not in the possession of Palestinian.
Well, it's a serious. You could see it landing there.
Let's wait.
Or no, I'm just saying. We're here to try to
having said,
give an opinion.
Having said we need to wait, and I think you were very wise when you said there'll be a military analysis. Having said we need to wait, we're now trying to pick up.
No, but Henry's saying something that's very interesting, which is that what you've seen there is not a weapon that's in Hamas's hands.
That's what people are saying because...
As far as he knows.
As far as we know...
By definition.
I mean, as far as we know. So Hamas, we know, sends over rockets regularly, threatening the lives of, Israeli civilians. They've been doing this for years, and they would say, this is because we're under occupation, we were driven out of our lands, we need to fight you, we need to fight for... We're a resistance movement. That's what they say. The Israelis say, no, you're threatening the integrity of Israel, you're trying to wipe us off the map. When you analyse the rockets that Hamas has, or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, apparently they've got nothing of that scale.
Okay.
That is
all right. We'll see.
As far as we understand.
But we don't. I mean, will we ever know? Because if we're told the Americans have satellites, if the American satellite sees it's Israel, the USA may decide not to tell us.
They may not say.
Because that's so inflammatory. Yeah. So we may never know.
Well, we may not, but on the other hand, I think there will be some proper analysis done. There'll be some probabilities that will emerge from that. But I just think we should wait for it. I think at the moment, it inflames the situation to say it's this side or it's that side. The simple answer is we don't know.
Well,
we don't know.
Geopolitics are terrible. Remember, everybody was talking about Saudi Arabia getting closer to Israel, the Abrahamic Accords, Mark II. That's kibosh now.
Okay.